Time for some Gear Gab. The folks at Earthworks sent me a couple of things. Today we are talking about one of them because I like to kind of give each one a little bit of space here. But that is the Earthworks SR117. This is a condenser microphone that is built for, they call it a vocal microphone. It is a supercardioid pattern, so it does have some decent off-axis rejection. I have not used it. I have used it as a vocal microphone on a Monkey Fist gig, which is the acoustic act that I work with. It sounds like me. It felt like me. I've always said, I've used Heil mics for years, the PR31BW primarily for the last 5 years or whatever, and I've always said I like it because it's a dynamic mic that feels like I'm singing into a condenser. I can blend harmonies with it nicely. This mic had all those same qualities for me. I didn't really even have to change my EQ very much, although you're going to hear in this demo that I'm going to do for you that it definitely has its own sort of EQ presence when compared to some other microphones. But so I've used it on my voice. I've used it on Emily's voice at some Bitter Pill rehearsals. It sounds fantastic. So for those, higher register, which is where I tend to sing, or higher register male voices, female voices in that higher, if you're for whatever reason, if you have a voice that kind of sits in that higher register, this microphone will give you a beefier, more full, more well-rounded tone, while still really kind of articulating and bringing out those highs. And as I'm saying these words to you, I now realize why the folks at Earthworks suggested I do what I'm about to tell you about. And that is, they said, try this thing on your snare drum. Now think about what I just said about voices, right? It's good for those higher register things, still has nice articulation on the top end, but enhances or brings out the richness, the tone that sometimes can get lost when you have that higher register stuff. Well, snare drum. So I get it. So I recorded my Black Beauty here in the studio this morning with the SM57 that I have had on it for, however long I've had, probably since I set up my drums this way during COVID lockdowns, right? And then I tried this SR117 on it. The SR117, by the way, is $199 on Amazon right now, $199 US on Amazon right now. So certainly, we're not talking about it being some $1,000 microphone or anything like that. It is an affordable mic in my opinion. It is a condenser mic, so it requires phantom power, but thankfully I already had phantom power on the block of XLR inputs that I use for my drums because I have overhead mics that require phantom power. So that was already there. And so here is the SM57. We'll call this the baseline. This is the Black Beauty. This is non-EQ'd, so you're hearing just the mic and the dry mic, no reverb, no EQ, a little bit of compression just to kind of keep everything tame and to allow us to hear it. But the podcast is going to go through compression anyway, so it's better actually to give it a more sort of balanced signal. But that was it. And this mic is soloed. So while there are other mics on the kit, we are only hearing the signal from, at this point, the SM57 on the Black Beauty. That's got a little bit of a low, 300 hertz kind of ring, if you want, that you'd probably tune out if you were putting this in the mains. But think about this both in terms of recording and which mic would you want to record with, but also which mic would you want to use live, because it's not always the same. Okay, so that was the SM57. Here comes the Earthworks SR117. back to this SM57. Back to the SR117. All right. So upon first listen, I was like, oh, I like the 57 better. Because it's not EQ'd, right? And that's the right way to test a mic, I think. And of course, the SR117 is pulling out this, kind of the tone, the thick, the muddier, if you want to call it that, parts of the snare, the beefier parts of the snare. Certainly that could be EQ'd out. I don't know that I would use this for recording a snare drum because I generally am going to get that beefiness elsewhere. However, live, I can see where this would be the right microphone to use for a live scenario, and how you might really come to like it, similar to how I've come to like the Telefunken M80. In fact, I might like this even better than that Telefunken M80 in a live scenario for exactly that reason, because you're getting some of that beef in your ears, and in the mains, right? So you've got something that's actually moving some air and not just all sparkle and sizzle on the top end. So yeah, fascinating mic, and I look forward to checking out more from them. What gear I'm podcasting currently into an Earthworks Ethos mic, which is also a condenser mic that I thought I would never use, but I have been now for the last 2 years, something like that. So yeah, I've learned to trust the folks at Earthworks when they say, try this, we think you're going to like it, because they understand my ears. So yeah. But yeah, there you go.